Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Bonjour. Wow, it's been great. It's been great to be here. It's been 3 years since we moved from Edmonton, where we spent 10 years to Montreal. And I have to say it's an emotional visit to see you guys. It's just come to me to see those familiar faces and you know, if things are going great for us in Montreal, we met the goals that we wanted to achieve when we moved there, but it came at a price. And when you're over there and things are going great, you're going with the flow. But coming back here is really bringing all the cost part, right? What we left behind, and we left you and the relationships and the people that I've been able to spend time with this week, and the memories in the city, and it's really bringing back to us kind of we paid a price to be there in Montreal, and we really miss it. I really appreciate and thank the quartet for accommodating all the song requests that we made. We were very, very encouraged to have that sung this morning, and really warmed our hearts. It's really great. So greetings from Montreal. If you know anybody in Montreal, they say hi. You probably send a card or something. If you know the Breeze Boys, now it's Ghislaine and Debbie leading the church with a group of counselors that we're part of, and it's really there's connections for whether it's from Vancouver or from Toronto before, and so they send their greetings, and there are a lot of great things happening in Montreal right now. One of the greatest news, mostly I'm being part of it, is that in the last 6 months we had 7 baptisms in the teen ministry. Majority of non-disciples in the teen ministry to a majority of disciples, so that really helps the dynamic. Ruben is studying the Bible as well, and the baptism study on Tuesday, so please, if you have anything to do, pray. There's a lot of great things we're really spreading. I mean, this weekend, one of the evangelists, it's not a staff, but the evangelist Stanley, he's preaching in Haiti. Ghislaine is preaching in Ottawa, and I'm preaching here, so it's kind of trying to spread, and that's what we do. So yeah, so we moved to Montreal 3 years ago, and oh, I need to turn it on. That would help. No, I need to wait. It's because there's an oil sticker on it.
Maybe we should change this one.
Yes, amen. Thank you. So that's December 2013, what my little family looks like, and yes. So that's the new family, as you can tell, a little bit of growth there, just from 2 of us only, and so that's the growth that's been happening, and so we changed, and just having some teens at home is really changing the dynamic of things, and yet to the point that they change us as well, and that's the new family. We have to be ridiculed now with the dad, you know. Not ridicule, I mean fashion. I don't know what word they use for nowadays. But yeah, so that's the family. It's been fun, I have to say. It's been fun to have Ruben and Ocean and see them grow, and having a disciple now. We are three on one, and we keep working at it. So yeah, so that's that. Montreal is doing great, and it's been great for us as well. And again, if you're coming to visit, please make sure that you stop. We'll be welcoming you very well. So today, continuing on the theme that we started 3 weeks ago, I think, on iFollow. And I maybe we're going to treat that a little bit different from what was expected. I don't know. We'll find out. But you know, the meaning of words seem to change over time. And if we look at, for example, the word Christian and disciples, if I was to go in the street and ask people, okay, are you a Christian? Most people would say yes. Okay. And then I would ask, okay, are you a disciple? And they say, I don't know, maybe, right? And then I would show them what a disciple does from the Bible, and then they would, if they're honest with themselves, they would say, okay, I'm not a disciple, but I'm a Christian. And so then, obviously, I would turn to Acts 11 and show them that a Christian is a disciple. Right? So even though they are Christian from their world point of view, they're not a Christian from a biblical point of view, and they know that, and they realize that, and then hopefully that's an opportunity to look at it more in depth and see what does that mean, and then what do I need to do to become a disciple, to become a Christian, a true Christian from a biblical point of view. The word follow also changes. Just nowadays with social media, you follow somebody. You follow somebody on Facebook, you follow somebody on Twitter, whatever social media you follow. So you follow for different reasons, right? You follow because the person said something interesting at once, and then you go in and then you follow him because there might be another insight that might be of value to you. Or you follow somebody maybe south of the Great Wall of Canada and north of the Great Wall of Mexico because you know that some nonsense was said and there's probably going to be more, so you want to be the first one to follow what that person has to say. But it's not something that you follow, you don't follow to imitate. You take whatever you feel like taking that works for you, and then you try to imitate it maybe at that time, or you're very selective in what you do, right? But we know that that's not what Jesus was talking about, and because of that, when you do that, that's not really the meaning of follow. Following Jesus means imitating him, following his purpose, following his methods, following his tools, his motivation, imitating him. And when a fan is not really doing all of that. There's a story that I heard of a man, Bill Rogers. He's moving to a new community, and he wanted to make some friends. So he joined a community league softball league. So first game, he's coming to the game, and he brought the family and stuff. And then so he's at the bat, and then first pitch, this one just missed by a mile. So a bit of silence in the crowd, except the voices. That's okay, Mr. Rogers. So, okay. Second pitch, this one missed by 2 miles, just completely off. Same thing, silence in the crowd. There's a voice. You can do it, Mr. Rogers. And then third one, you don't know a lot about baseball. 3 strikes, right? 3 strikes, you out. Yeah. So third strike, just ready, preparing himself. This one, he missed it so much that he fell. And okay, silence in the crowd. Seems like goes, that's okay, Mr. Rogers, maybe next time. So, okay, the game goes and ends, and so he's taking the family back home. And then he's turning to his son and he said, was that you? Yelling on the pitch? He said, yeah, that was me. Oh, thank you. I was very encouraged that you encouraged me and stuff, but why were you calling me Mr. Rogers? He said, I don't want anybody to know that I was related to you. So that's what a fan does. Right? A fan is there, supportive and stuff, but I don't know that guy when it comes to things that are not going the right way according to plan. That's not my type of following. That's my fan base, right? And so that illustrates to me really the difference between a fan and a follower. And following Jesus, as I said, it's a commitment. You imitate him. You have, as I said, the same purpose, the same drivers, the same strength. That's what it takes to follow Jesus. And doing that changes you. Yeah. It changes you. It changed me. And I'm sure that it changed you when you started. When I first studied the Bible, I was converted in Vancouver 17 years ago. And there was definitely a before and after. Before studying baptism, conversion, and after conversion. A lot of things changed. The first thing that changed was my schedule. Before, I was fairly new in the country. I moved from France maybe 1 year in 98, so a year later. So my life was, my schedule was all about me, right? I was going to work to pay the bills, and then I would play squash almost every day of the week. And my schedule was just that. Entertaining myself, playing squash, going to work. That was it. But after conversion, then there's a switch in my schedule. Right? I spend a lot more time with people, right? Spending people, interacting with people. The church it's a brand new schedule. You take a schedule on paper, before and after, say, wow, there is a difference here. Yeah. And I think it was the same for you as well. My finances, same thing. My finances, I mean, very simple, straight plan. Make money, make more money, save it. Make money, make more money, spend it on myself. That's the way it works. And that was, everybody's doing that, right? Yeah. That's why we came to North America for. Just we can make more money and build our empire. And so that was my finances. That was working well for me. And then Jesus came. Said, okay, follow me. What does that mean? It means I need to be sacrificial. I need to start giving. And sometimes I think it's good to look back because I look back and I say, okay, it wasn't a lot of money. And I look at it and from a world point of view, that's a lot of money. You say, how much money did I give in contribution? That's a lot of money. Then you start thinking of other things that you could do if you had not given it and all that comes into your mind. But don't go to that direction. Go to the direction of how much it is to follow Jesus. But to submit your finances to Him. Yeah. And then to be able to give sacrificially. How many things did I get just because I got a tuition? It's just on top of my head, I remember when we first had Ruben, I didn't buy clothes for 3 years. Something like that. There are so many kids in the church. I mean, who buys clothes? I mean, unless you're very particular and you want something very specific, you can definitely clothe your kids for free in the church. So we don't factor that in, but it is very important to realize, right? But it changed. If I look at my finances, there's definitely a before and after. In the contribution, in the helping, in the hospitality that happened that didn't happen before. My habits changed a lot. First of all, I started having quiet times. What was that time? Why was it part of my schedule before? Why was it part of my habits before? Because I didn't know God, right? But once you know God, quiet time, for those who don't know, is the time that you spend with God, whether praying or reading the Bible or spending time with others doing the same, connecting with God. And that's that drastic change in the life of somebody. Just again, I calculated that I spent more than 6,000 hours praying since I became a disciple. Wow. And again, I don't think there's any, I'm not breaking any record here. I'm pretty sure that you can all say the same if you have been a disciple for long enough. That wouldn't be a surprise. But yeah, it's still good to look at it and say, I spent 6,000 hours praying to God. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I think that's something that God is looking at it. And looking at the before and after and saying, where to go? Yeah. I like that. I like that you took that time. Especially since for the first 30 years, I didn't spend much time praying, or I didn't have quiet times in the first place, right? My dreams and plans. That has changed a lot. You would ask me, okay, you just new immigrant in Canada, in Vancouver, so what are your plans and dreams? And you have all those things going to all the different directions of making Fortune 500 and whatever. And now, completely different. Or just the after, completely different. Well, that's what brought me to Edmonton in the first place. People would look at me and say, what? You're going where? So we were selling the house in Vancouver, and then the people buying it are coming to sign the paper and stuff, saying, oh yeah, you have the chit chat, that. Oh yeah, so you're moving, what are you doing? Yeah, we're moving out of town. Okay, so where are you going? We're going to Edmonton. I'm very sorry. It's crazy that the people even from work, when I change work, they said, wow, man, I just really feel for you. Just, I'm going to offer you a shovel and stuff. Crazy, but those dreams and plans were about following Jesus. Seeing a need somewhere, going to meet that need, to help, to serve, to do what Jesus did. And that's what changed. And the thing is that I can take any of you disciples in the room, and you all have those stories. You all have the story of before and after, where you could see this is drastic change between the two. There was definitely a before and after. And so my case is not very special, right? So, but what I mean by insisting on that is that the changes that you made when you chose to follow Jesus, those changes were drastic, were hard. It took a lot of time for you to do it, and I'm not talking, maybe your conversion process itself was short, but it took some time to buy into it and to really follow Jesus, right? And it was uncomfortable. It was hard. It was kind of signing all those contribution checks, It's just sometimes, God is saying, Jesus asks us to give sacrificially, but cheerfully. Yeah. This is a fine life. If I'm super cheerful, usually I'm not that sacrificial. If I'm too sacrificial, it prevents me from being cheerful. This is a very fine line. So it's hard, it's uncomfortable. You need to ask yourself the right questions and whatnot. And so that's what everybody, all of us went through when we decided to follow Jesus, right? But God gave us a gift, another one. God gave us the gift of adaptability. Man is so adaptable. Man can adapt to any and every situation. This is unbelievable how adaptable man is. And for myself, for example, I adapt to the weather very well. If I look at things, I grew up in the Caribbean, in Martinique. So you'd say, you know how to adapt there, because it's just always beautiful, and just kind of sandy beaches, and you just go and then spend your time there and line like it's invention. You can say that I beg to differ, because when you're there and then Hurricane Matthew comes by, then you have to adapt. You have to adapt. See how much damage it did in Haiti and in the Caribbean. It's just, you have to know that this is something that happens every 2-3 years. You have hurricane season every year, but every 2 or 3 years, you know there's a big one coming, right? And you prepare for it as much as you can, but you know it's coming. And what happens is that you build your house, you plant your trees, you raise your cattle and everything, and then hurricane comes and wipes everything out. You just dug. And then when it's over, you build back again. That's what you do. That's what you do in the Caribbean. Just the next day or the next hour, as soon as it's over, then you stand up and you start building again. That's a way of life. Sometimes people die in this process. You have mudslides and everything. Okay, you move a bit. And you keep going, because this is life. You adapt to it. Right? So, adapted to life in the Caribbean. And then I moved to France for 10 years, and there I had to adapt to 4 seasons, because I've not experienced really 4 seasons. So you adapt to the winter, you put more clothes. I put maybe 20 pounds on the first winter. So that was when I went home. My parents would say, "What are you?" I was just around. I was eating whatever, sneakers all the time. So you adapt to it, right? Then after that, I moved to Vancouver. I spent 6 years in Vancouver, and then I had to adapt because you have 6 months of beautiful weather and nice and green and sunny. And then you have 6 months where you don't see your next door neighbor because you have fog and it's gray and it rains and it's pouring. It's damp. It's just can't keep anything dry in the house. It's just, but you adapt. Spent 6 years there. I didn't regret any of it. It was great. We enjoyed it. Actually, we more realized how great it was when you moved to Edmonton. When you moved to Edmonton and you have that bright sky, it's just unbelievable. It's cold, but you're behind the window, so you have 6 months of winter, and it's cold, but you adapt to it, and then you have 6 months of constructions, and then you adapt to it as well. And then so you adapt to it, right? So we adapt. We're very, very adaptable. Yeah, right. And so you can also adapt to physical stress.
Oh, yeah.
I read a story about Facebook or something. I read a story about a man who ran 401 marathons in 401 days. To raise awareness about something. So, I don't remember what it was about, but he ran 401 marathons in 401 days. A marathon is 42 kilometers, for those who don't know. Running one is already, it's great, and a lot of people can do it, but a lot of people cannot do it. And you need to train for it, usually, right? So 401. And you can imagine the physical stress that is to do that every day for 13 months, right?
Wow.
So obviously that's a proof of man can adapt. We can adapt to a lot of things. And the problem is that we can sometimes adapt to Christian life as well.
Yeah.
You adapt to it like everything else. I mean, it's a gift, it's built in us, and we can adapt and we adapt to it, right? So do you have your quiet times? Yeah. Times somewhat regularly in the week. I read my Bible all every so often, at least, if it's not every day, because I'm committed, right? And I at least think about God every day, for sure. And I pray to God, I'd say 6 days out of 7. So I do the things, right, that I did at first. And I did my contribution very steady. I did my pledge, and then I did what I said I would do. So I give my money, and I spend time. I come to the meetings of the body. I'm there on our track record of 95%. That's also not bad. I mean, look at it, 95% of attendance. That's good. And then that's our Christian life. And so, although all the hard work that we did to get to that point, when God looks at that, He says, "Way to go! I cannot be prouder than you." We're prouder than that, prouder than you right now. But when we get comfortable, then there's something that happens that shouldn't happen, because Jesus said that following me is not comfortable. Yeah. So if it's comfortable, the question is, how is it follow? Right? Because it's like this man who ran 401 marathons. He said, "Okay, yes, I'm going to give you a challenge. I challenge you to run a marathon." Okay. He goes, he runs a marathon, and end of story. Was that challenging for him? After 401, I doubt. Right. Was it comfortable? Most likely, he was comfortable running his marathon. Right? But it wasn't a challenge. So, whatever you did before, whatever we did before, even though that made the sense at first, that qualified to following Jesus. We turned right and went straight. That's the path to heaven, right? So, we're following Jesus in that way, and it made the cut at first, but Jesus took it up another notch, and then we lost sight of it. Just kind of, I thought I was following Jesus. I'm on that path. Right. And then all of a sudden you realize that there's something wrong. The path is too wide here. It's kind of a little bit too comfortable. And that's when adaptability has kicked in. And then we need to challenge ourselves to recommit to following Jesus. So I'm sharing that hopefully to encourage you, because that's my journey. That's what I went through, and I think that's what a lot of us went through here in this room, where the changes that we made at first were really making the cut. Those were drastic changes. And if that's where you are, you're a brand new Christian, you're studying the Bible, I really commend you for that. You need to continue to do that. For some of us that are a bit older in the faith, we need to take it up another notch, right? And I talk about 4 different aspects of it. First one is loving the lost. Loving the lost like never before. It's just, in Montreal, we're studying the book of Nehemiah as a church, so every week we study a chapter. And what started it is that Nehemiah got touched. He saw the need there, and then he said, okay, I'm just going to go and please God use me. And then he went to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. But sometimes for us, it seems that we got numb and we lost track of things, because we think, okay, I'm a Christian. I've been saved, I made it. If I die today, I go to heaven. That's sure. And then, so let's picture ourselves in this, where Judgment Day comes in and you have those two lanes, right? You have one going to heaven and one not going to heaven, right? And then, in the other lane, you have that coworker or neighbor of yours say, hey, my mom, how are you doing? What are you doing there? Me? I'm a Christian, baby. I'm just going to heaven. On my way to heaven. I did it. I made the cut. I did it. I said, you knew what to do, and then you didn't tell me? It's kind of, all those years I met you so many times, and you didn't tell me. What are you going to answer that? What are you going to answer that? You seem very busy. Yeah, we were rushing out the door each time, and you tapped me too. You had a smile each time you waved at me. That's tough. Yeah. That's tough. And I'm not talking about the stranger in the street that you have no connections with. I'm talking about the co-workers that you spend. You're in a company for 10, 15 years. You've seen those people, right? I'm talking about your neighbors, the people that you interact with at a certain level. Yeah. Right? And then we let the, oh, but you seem so happy with all your big truck that you bought and I couldn't afford, and then in your house that was always clean. I don't know how you do it. And then your marriage is just, you seem so happy. And then all of a sudden you divorced. I don't know what happened. And then we missed being touched by the needs. Yeah. They need us. Right? And so we need to take it up another notch. Yeah. Get uncomfortable with your evangelism. So one thing that we did when we were still here, I think it's probably 2010, 11, around that time, we, as a family, we made some flyers. We planned some Bible talks, 4 or 5 Bible talks, with some topics that were hopefully interesting to people. And then catching their attention, and so trying to answer some questions. And then we printed those flyers, and then we went in our neighborhood, door to door, to invite them. And so we knew that not everybody would be at home when we go. So I printed the flyers with a hook, so that you could hook it on the door at least, so that you can't miss it. I mean, you have to put your key in the thing. So you can't miss it. And then, so We reach out to the whole neighborhood. I can tell you that was uncomfortable. The rejection we got, when it's just, we were kind of hoping for a plain no, as opposed to kind of a pushback that's a bit harder, you know what I mean, right? It's just, okay, well, I'm not interested, that's fine, okay, thank you, I'm sorry to disturb you. So it's not comfortable. I don't want to go out. We went with the kids and Manuel, I don't know what memory they have of that, but we can ask them, I don't know. But it wasn't maybe they were younger for sure, so maybe they were more innocent and more touched by the people and then more eager to go. But I can tell you for us, we were kind of going, okay, let's do it. We have to imitate Jesus, we have to do it, but it's hard. It wasn't comfortable. Like we have been Christians for more than 10 years, but it wasn't comfortable. And then they're telling me, okay, so for what result? You touch everybody in the neighborhood. For what result? One person came to one by one. And so I remember Jeff with his 2 teens. He studied on and off, but he never made it. So we did all that, and then one person came and not even the cut. Just was it worth it? It was. It was because our call is to reach out. Not the result. The result, God decided that, you know what, you need to learn to be uncomfortable regardless and imitate Jesus regardless of having ding, 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 ding at the end of the day where you score and the person follows and you have 10 Christians in your neighborhood and you have a Bible talk and you start a whole church there. It's just, no. Follow Jesus, period. That's what he's asking. And when Jesus says, only a few will find it, because he says that, right? Look at, okay, we are 82, right? In 80 disciples in Edmonton, and 82 in a city of 1 million. Come on. I mean, it's exactly the same as Montreal, 140 or 135 in a city of I don't know how many millions. It's just, it's nothing. It's really a few. Maybe that's what Jesus meant. When he said a few, that's what he meant. He meant 82 in a city of 1 million. Maybe. However, what he meant is that everybody will have a chance to respond. And that's our part. The 82 out of 1 million, that's his responsibility. Our responsibility, we need to be 1 million out of 1 million offered the opportunity. I mean, nobody in my neighborhood at that time could tell, oh, I know, you had a chance. At the very least, you had a fly on your door, right? And at best, we had time to talk together, and you came to my house, and I fed you, and I talked to you about God, and then you chose not to. But everybody had a chance. And that's our part. But it takes being comfortable. It's not easy. Ooh, I've been blessed enough. And that's perfect timing. So a few will respond, but all we have a chance to respond. And that's our part. So I really encourage you to find ways that are probably more effective than what I did. So that you can reach out to people. What about you go and then you invite everybody in your work site to have dinner with them. You invite them to your home, one at a time. Come on. It's just come for barbecue or whatever. You invite. They can say yes, they can say no, but at least you invite. And you don't stop until you invite everybody in the company. Amen. It's not. I'm not asking the hardcore contact, you have to come to church. And no, I know you, I've been knowing you for a few years, we're going to the same workplace. It's not as if you meet me in the street, you say hi, right? So it's not, I'm not a stranger. You know that you don't know where I live, but at least you know where I work because we work together. And then you can come and I invite you to just share a meal. And you can see my family life and start there, right? So I don't know what it takes. And it takes different things for different people, but you can do that and get out of your comfort zone. And if you've already done that, then you're going to find something else. Yeah. Because that means that you're down to that one too. Right? So the second aspect I want to help us and talk about in terms of in terms of getting uncomfortable is prayer. Let's pray like never before.
Amen.
It's just, are you praying the same prayers that you've been praying, that you were praying 5 years ago? Right, you go, and again, I'm not belittling the changes at first because they were drastic. They were big. And now you're waking up early in the morning to go around Romery's Lake to pray. Amen. But are you uncomfortable? If it's not uncomfortable, then get uncomfortable in your prayer. Take it another notch. In Montreal, what we do is that we did as a church, we're studying the book 40 Days of Prayer. It's a small book, very easy to read. For every day, you have a small chapter. Now I'm going to talk about that, but we do that as a church, and we do it as well as a family. And there are different parts in the book, and the first part is they ask you to memorize a short prayer. A short prayer from St. Francis of Assisi. So, and that prayer, I'm not too much into set prayers, because I grew up Catholic, and it's like Our Father, you say it 10 times, you don't even think of what you're saying so quickly. You say, at one point, I remember in Vancouver, before I got converted, I was timing how many times I can say from home to the bus. So it's just to tell you how focused I was on the actual prayer, right? How fast I can say Our Father prayer and how many times I can say it until I reach the bus. It's just, for me, it doesn't work, set prayers. But when I memorize that scripture, and I'm going to read it, that prayer, it really started to change me. And I've been doing it for a month because I'm only 30 something out of 40. And it's changing me. It said, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there's darkness, light. Where there's sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying to self that we are born to eternal life. And you can read it and then read it on the internet, but the more each time I sing every morning and then I meditate on it, something new comes up. At first, for example, just say, let me seek to be to understand more than to be understood. This is big. How many fights have I avoided because I was praying that in the morning and then I said, okay, try to understand first, right? And then before I can make my point, to make sure that I understood. And it's just, those things are really penetrating because it's the repetition on a daily basis. And even the hatred, let me sow love where there's hatred. So at first I was thinking more, okay, I see a situation, and I go there to help the situation. There's obviously hatred between those two people, so I'm going and trying to sow that peace, right? But as I was meditating on it, I said, maybe it's in my heart when there's hatred. Let me also sow love and change that hatred into love. So that would work. But I needed to try it. Even though I wasn't too much into set prayers, I needed to try it to make it happen. And what the book is made of different chapters and very small chapters, different encounters of people about prayer in the Bible. And I learned a lot of things. I mean, I read everything, so I knew at some point, but it helped me deepen and broaden my idea about prayer. And the first one is that God can change his decision. And for me, God is God. You respect God, you respect his decisions, and you don't challenge his decision. And that's my type of relationship with God, right? But there, Hezekiah is being told by a prophet, sorry, You won't make it. I won't save you. You're going to die. He's going to pray. By the time you leave the place, the prophet is running after him. Wait, I have another message for you. 15 more years have been added to your life.
Right.
This is amazing. Yeah. God changed his decision just because of the prayer of one man. Yeah. So, the sky is the limit. You can ask him. And another part that I learned is to be real with God. Same thing. Being emotional, not really my strength. And even though in Montreal I'm forced to become a little bit more of that because they're all emotional over there. But that's why I move, right? So that's why I could grow in being emotional. But Jacob struggled, wrestled with God for a full night. When was the last time you wrestled with God? It's kind of, you don't think of prayer like that. You think prayer, you're half asleep. That wasn't the half asleep type of prayer. I can tell you, his name got changed over that prayer. Right. He got an injury for life out of that prayer. So it was intense. That's where we need to take it up another notch. Yeah. Another type of prayer is that I can ask God for the impossible. Amen. Joshua, I didn't read it for the sake of time, but Joshua asked God for the sun to stand still in the middle of the day for a full day. And it says there has never been a day like that before or after. For a full day, you go and ask God, God, it would be a bit more convenient for me if I have 24 extra hours in a day. Could you hold it for a second of your time, which is 24 of my hours? Yeah. That's what he did. And God said, okay, I'll do it. When did you ask God for something impossible? Wow. When? If it's not problem. No guilt. You can start this afternoon. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you all have a lot of impossible prayers that you didn't dare to pray. And that's a problem. You need to dare to go there. Yeah. You need to dare to have that relationship with your God so you can ask him for the impossible. I'm not guaranteeing that he will hold the sin for you. And actually, if he says in the Bible that it never happened after, we're seeing the after period. So my chances are it won't happen again. But what's impossible in your life, it can change. Yeah. It can change. And what happens is that we had some in the family, we all have our list of prayers because the book asks you to make a list of 10 impossible prayers and then to pray through them. So in the family, everybody, we all have our list of prayers, of impossible prayers, and God is answering. Mm-hmm. God is answering. I've already 3 on my list of 10. It's done. The last one was last night, where Manuel won the national competition of fitness overall, and she's now a pro athlete. It's a very narrow club. I mean, you're familiar with it. You don't know what that means, but there are people kind of chasing for their whole life to be able to access this, to have that recognition to be a pro athlete. And that was an impossible prayer. I mean, when you look at odds, and even in the last 2 weeks, everything that could go wrong happened. Everything, to the point where she was very discouraged. I said, look, that's exactly the point where, there's only so much you can do. You're there, you cannot do any other step but a leap of faith. Yeah. It's by faith that it will happen. God will make it happen, and you need to have faith. And if you don't have faith, I have some for you. Yeah. So that we could pray, and then we let God work. But we need to let him work, right? Yeah. We need to ask. We need to have those prayers. Another prayer was the best friend, Ocean's best friend was studying the Bible, was not studying the Bible, but the prayer was that she would get baptized. Last week, she got baptized. This is just, I mean, obviously, Ruben is next on my prayer, so please add it to your prayer. But again, those are just examples of things that 40 days of prayer is good, but maybe it's not what works for you for now, right? But find what works for you. The third point is serve like never before. I mean, if you're comfortable in your serving, just do what Carrie does, and then that will make you uncomfortable. And Carrie, since you're doing so much, you need to get out of that comfort zone, brother. So find something else to take it up another notch, okay? So, a lot of opportunities. I don't need to spend too much time. You have such a great example there. The fourth one is knowledge of the Bible. Knowledge of the Bible. Have you grown in your knowledge of the Bible? I grew so much before and after my conversion because I didn't need to. A lot of things were explained to you. You grew in your knowledge of the Bible from a 10-fold, 20-fold in that time, even if you were religious before. You learned a lot, right? And the example that we have as we follow Jesus is that Jesus knew his Bible inside out. Jesus went and as soon as he was baptized, what happened? Temptation. He was quoting scriptures right left and center to counter Satan's attacks. So, in case you don't know, in order to quote, you need to have memorized it, right? Yeah. So, he knew his Bible inside out. And even Eddie, a couple of weeks ago, was mentioning with the adulterous woman how he schooled the guys, the teachers, the leaders there, by stooping down, writing in the ground, say, hey, I can do that on the Sabbath, right? I can do it on the Sabbath, even if I cannot really write on the Sabbath. If it's on the ground, I can do it. How would he know to do that if he didn't know his Bible inside out? Yeah. So we need to know our Bible inside out. So how do we do that? Find a way to do it. Everybody is different. When you get out the Todd, we're very scholar, but he would just sit at the table and then read and then soak himself in this and then learn. Or maybe that style doesn't work for you. Get a group together where you just spend time memorizing one verse at a time. And then when you're comfortable with one verse, then move up to one book. Why not? You can do it. You memorize a lot of things. The memory is such a powerful muscle. You can use it. And you can engrave the scriptures on your heart and imitate Jesus this way. You imitate, you do what he did. Because even though it's not said specifically that Jesus sat down to study the scriptures, he did it. He went to the temple and he knew he was able to quote, to use it the best anybody could. So he knew it. And I don't think that is because he was God and then he got it all given at first. No. That wouldn't be quite godlike for him to do that. So I'm not overwhelming you with all those ideas and challenges, but I'm not really expecting you to tackle everything at once. Just take one area that you really comfortable. Whichever it is. Let's say it's your prayer, it's just you're really so comfortable, you can pray in your sleep, and sometimes you sleep when you pray, but you're so comfortable that you need to take it up another notch. You can just change something. If you're inside all the time, go outside. If you're outside all the time, stay inside. I don't know, find something that works for you to make you uncomfortable. So you have to think about it. So if it's prayer, it's one thing, but if it's evangelism, it's another. Please don't feel overwhelmed and try to embrace everything at once because it's uncomfortable. That's the point. Yeah. As long as you get uncomfortable imitating Jesus, that's what it takes. And if you're not a Christian today, and then you're listening to me and say, whoa, what is he talking about? Just be uncomfortable by sitting down with somebody who invited you and then look at the Bible. Yeah. That will make you uncomfortable enough as a start. And then you can take it up another notch. Yeah. Then you can start following when you realize what they're talking about. But be uncomfortable. Don't settle for comfort. So I follow Jesus. And I want to continue to follow him, and that means that I need to change and get uncomfortable, and I really encourage you to do the same. Amen? Awesome.